Part 134. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1331. As I walked, my steps stalled. Miao Fengluan looked at me with some confusion and asked, "What's wrong?" I shook my head slightly at Miao Fengluan, and then whispered a few words in her ear. When Miao Fengluan heard what I said, she immediately froze on the spot, then nodded and replied, "I understand." I took Miao Fengluan to the foot of Mount Tai. I did not choose to take the main road leading to the hotel, but chose a remote path. There are not many tourists here. When I passed a corner, Miao Fengluan suddenly stretched out her hand and used Chinayan to hide her and my aura. I turned around and returned to the path I had taken. There were green trees on both sides of the path, the sun was shining brightly, and the trees were shaded. At this moment, a man about my age walked over. The man was wearing a hoodie. He was thin and handsome. He made me feel like he was a handsome young man from a book. However, the man's brows did not have a gentle and elegant look, but instead were very cold. The man quickened his pace, walked around the corner, looked around, and then frowned. This man has been following me since I left Dongyu Hall. The reason why I choose to take the small road is because of him. I glanced at Miao Fengluan, who understood and lifted the veil. "Stop looking, I'm right here," I said to the man. The man turned around suddenly when he heard my voice. When he saw me appearing behind him out of thin air, his face became a little ugly. "Tell me why you are following me." The man looked at me and said slowly, "I won't harm you." His tone of voice was very cold, without any emotion at all. I frowned and continued to ask, "I didn't say you wanted to harm me." The man was slightly startled and repeated, "I won't harm you. I have one head and two heads." Why is this man so dull in character? I took a deep breath and said, "Put it aside whether you want to harm me or not. You tell me first, who are you and why are you following me?" There was no expression on the man's face as he replied, "I want to confirm something." I asked, "What happened?" The man looked at me, with some determination in his eyes, and said, "I want to make sure you are the ancestor of our Zai Wei Tianfu." Zai Wei Tianfu? Ancestor? What is this and what? King Di's voice suddenly sounded in my ears. "Don't worry, he is from Zai Wei Tianfu." I asked, "What is Zai Wei Tianfu?" King Di replied, "It's just a Feng Shui section. However, this sect was founded by you, but I don't know what it has become until now." "The Zai Wei Tianfu I founded?" I kept searching for the four words Zai Wei Tianfu in my memory, and finally it came to my mind. Yuan Tiangong's memories of that life include Zai Wei Tianfu. Zai Wei Tianfu is composed of two groups of more than 100 stars assigned to palaces according to the year, month, day, and time of a person's birth to predict the good and bad fortune of a person's life. And, according to legend, the founder of Zai Wei Tianfu is Emperor Zai Wei. It has existed as early as the Shang dynasty and has been passed down for thousands of years. However, until now, I have never heard of the words Zai Wei Tianfu. Could it be that Zai Wei Tianfu was destroyed? I looked at the man and asked, "How to confirm?" The man took a look and said, "If you are the ancestor, you must have Zai Wei's qi. Just let me see Zai Wei's qi." Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1332. I looked at the man, hesitated again and again, and decided to see what kind of attention this guy would pay. Thinking of this, I spread the palm of my right hand and mobilized the purple energy in my body. The mist exuding purple light emerged from the palm of my hand. The purple mist contained a rich aura of awe-inspiring aura, giving people a sense of uprightness and uprightness. When the man saw the purple energy in my palm, his pupils trembled slightly and he made a move that surprised me. I saw the man kneeling down on one knee, bowing his hands towards me and saying, "See Palace Master." I was slightly startled and said, "Get up first." I have something to ask you. The man stood up and said to me very respectfully, Master, if you have anything to say, just ask. I pondered for a moment and asked, what do you want to see me for? Also, what is the situation in your Zaiwei Tianfu? The man replied respectfully, I am looking for the master of the palace because I want to protect him and be at his disposal, even if I have to go through fire and water, I will not hesitate. The man hesitated for a moment and continued, not only me, but the entire Zaiwei Tianfu is respected by the master. I frowned slightly, feeling that this sentence seemed a bit familiar. I carefully searched the memory in my mind and came to a conclusion. Yunziazi, Yuan Tiangang, Lu Bowen, they were all former masters of Zaiwei Tianfu. As for the meaning of the existence of Zaiwei Tianfu, I also found the answer. To be precise, Zaiwei Tianfu was created by me, and its purpose of existence is to be a force belonging to me, to help me lay out and be at my disposal. As for what Zaiwei Tianfu has experienced in the past few thousand years, I don't know. I must now figure out the current situation of Zaiwei Tianfu. Since I created it with my own hands, it must have a meaning of existence. Maybe it will reincarnate with me for thousands of years. Reincarnation is inextricably linked. How is the current situation of Zaiwei Tianfu? As soon as these words came out, the man's eyes showed a look of loneliness, and he replied, in the past 100 years, Zaiwei Tianfu has been in decline, and there are not many people left under it. But Lord, you can rest assured that although the number is small, every day everyone respects you. I asked about the reason for the decline of Zaiwei Tianfu, and the man gave me the answer. Every dynasty and every generation of Zaiwei Tianfu has the support of emperors. It is for this reason that Zaiwei Tianfu can be passed down for thousands of years, and its history is longer than Longhu Mountain. I nodded. With the help of Zaiwei Tianfu, it is better than fighting alone. The man's name is Pei Yan. Now that he has found me, he has no intention of leaving. He is looking for me just to stay by my side. On the way back to the hotel, I asked, what are you doing in Taishan? Pei Yan replied respectfully, tomorrow, when Mount Tai is enshrined in Zen, not only are Zaiwei Tianfu, but also Longhu Mountain, Sanking Mountain, Qingcheng Mountain, and many other sects will come here. Mount Taishan is a place of Zen, which is ordered by heaven. Everyone wants to come here to try their luck and see who can become an emperor. Once he becomes an emperor, he will be the target of everyone's pursuit. So that's it, however, their plan finally failed. Because, that false god is already preparing for the Zen ceremony. When I just arrived at the hotel lobby, I saw a familiar figure. I saw that man wearing a snow-white dress, looking very beautiful, and his brows were full of coldness. Su Xian, Su Tianxuan's senior sister. She is also my senior sister-in-law. I didn't expect to meet her by such a coincidence. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1333. Su Xian also saw me. She was stunned at first, and then asked in surprise, Lu Su, why are you here? I didn't have much contact with Su Xian. Last time in the Ma family courtyard, Su Tianxian was struck by a love spell, and then I paid a visit to him and allowed Su Xian to remove the 8-character blood evil. After the matter was settled, we parted ways. I smiled and said, Sister, why are you here too? Su Xian came to me, looked me up and down, and said, I can't believe that you have matured a lot without Tianxian by your side. I was slightly startled and asked, do you know where my master has gone? Su Xian nodded and replied, of course I know, including what happened to you on Penglai Island. Needless to say, Yu Sun Tao also told Long Hushan about this matter. After all, only Yu Sun Tao was present at that time. As for the others, there was no reason to tell Long Hushan about this matter. Lu Su, you really surprised me that you were able to keep Tianxian here. Su Xian said to me in surprise. I raised the corners of my mouth and said with a smile, that's natural. I don't want to be separated from Tianxian. Su Xian rolled her eyes. At this moment, I felt that my eyes were covered. I was slightly startled. Just as I was about to speak, I heard a low and hoarse voice coming from my ear. Guess who I am? The voice sounded familiar, but I couldn't remember it for a while. The person who could do such a thing to me must be an acquaintance of mine. I broke away, and when I saw the person behind me, I was stunned on the spot. It turned out to be Mr. Ma. Mr. Ma is still dressed like a beggar, with unkempt beard and messy hair. He is also holding a bottle of Urquatu in his hand, and his brows are filled with a bohemian look. Master Ma. Mr. Ma rolled his eyes and said, you kid, how long have we been apart and you've even forgotten my voice? It can't be said that I forgot Mr. Ma's voice, because this guy deliberately lowered his voice when speaking. Master Ma, long time no see. I gave Mr. Ma a big bear hug. Afterwards, the three of us came to the restaurant to talk. After some pleasantries, I also learned the purpose of their coming here. Their purpose was exactly the same as what Pei Yan said. When the two asked about my purpose, they hesitated for a moment but chose to tell me. When the three of them heard that I was going to order all the ghosts on Mount Tai, their faces became a little ugly. Mr. Ma muttered, Lu Su, we have also heard about the things in the underworld. You must know that it is not only you who want to conquer the ghosts in Mount Tai, there are other forces as well. Moreover, Mount Tai is one of the passages to the underworld, and it is the most important existence in it. If you think about it carefully, if there is a rebellion in the underworld, if this most important passage between the world and the underworld is controlled by someone with ulterior motives, do you think it will change? What does it look like? I frowned and replied, then, there will be no barriers or restrictions between the underworld and the human world, and the evil ghosts in the underworld will escape through Mount Tai. Mr. Ma nodded and said, yes, the only one who can open this passage is the god of Mount Tai, and this Feng Chan is not as simple as you think. It is a competition for the position of the mountain god. No wonder Longhu Mountain, Qingcheng Mountain, Sanking Mountain, and many other sects came here, originally wanting to gain the right to control Mount Tai. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1334. Hearing this, I was shocked. I had long known that this trip to Mount Tai would be difficult and dangerous, but I didn't expect that there would be so many forces involved. Su Xian looked at me and asked, what are your plans? I pondered for a moment and informed several people of my plan. After hearing this, Mr. Ma and Su Xian's expressions became extremely ugly. Su Xian let out a long sigh and said, Lu Su, it is impossible for you to become a Zen monk in Mount Tai. Mr. Ma glanced at Su Xian and said, don't say that, it's still possible, because Lu Su has something that none of us have. Su Xian was stunned and asked, what? Mr. Ma whispered a few words in Su Xian's ear. Su Xian's pupils trembled slightly and she looked at me in disbelief. I know what Mr. Ma is talking about. It is naturally the soul of Mount Tai. Mount Tai has an empty body and lacks a mountain soul. As long as the soul of Mount Tai is in my hands, I will be the destination of my destiny. Lu Su, even if you have that thing, it is very difficult to become a Zen master. Let's do this. I will take you to see my master, your senior master, and see if he can help you. Since I became a disciple of Su Tianxian, I have had very little contact with Longhu Mountain. It would be a good thing if I could get help from the heavenly master of Longhu Mountain this time. I nodded, and Mr. Ma asked mysteriously, Xiao Suzi, tell me the truth, was it you who destroyed all the Taoists? I was a little surprised. Not many people knew that I wiped out all the Taoists. How did Mr. Ma know about it? That's right, the Taoist sect went too far to deceive others. It lost all conscience and used living people to refine corpses. Moreover, my sister caught me for questioning and slaughtered the entire Taoist sect in anger. As soon as these words came out, Mr. Ma and Suxian were stunned on the spot. Their eyes widened and they looked at me in disbelief. Mr. Ma took a breath and asked in shock, "Xiao Suzy, are you too cruel? Isn't this in line with your previous character?" I smiled and replied, "I really couldn't do such cruel things before, but people will change. If I didn't kill their entire family, they would kill me too." Mr. Ma looked at me with complicated eyes. Perhaps, in his heart, the kind-hearted Lu Su had disappeared. However, everything I do now, I have no complaints. Mr. Ma let out a long sigh and said, "I know you have too many burdens on your shoulders, but you have wiped out all the Taoist sects. Have you ever thought about the consequences?" I was slightly startled and asked, "What are the consequences?" Mr. Ma replied, "The Taoist sect has been passed down for thousands of years. Your grandfather once had the intention to destroy the Taoist sect, but he did not do that in the end. Do you know why?" I shook my head, and Mr. Ma continued, "On both sides of the yin and yang, there are many talented people and strangers. Some people call themselves teachers of justice, but they are doing shameful things behind the scenes. However, in order to maintain the apparent justice, these people will leave those shameful things to people in darkness to deal with. I say this, do you understand?" Of course I understand what Mr. Ma means. To put it simply, even those decent people from well-known families will do some unscrupulous things to protect their own interests. However, in order to maintain the justice they pretend to be, they will cooperate with the Taoist section. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1335. Let daemon do those shameful things. For example, raising evil spirits with people, capturing living souls, practicing evil arts. If I destroy the Taoist sect, I will cut off the interests of those hypocrites. They will naturally take action against me. I know what you mean. I looked at Mr. Ma with an unusually indifferent expression. Mr. Ma, you have to know that no matter whether it is good or evil, this world will only respect strength. Even if you are evil, standing at the top can still reverse right and wrong. Mr. Ma looked at me blankly, sighed and said, "Xiao Suzy, you have grown up, but you are a bit strange to me." I smiled and said nothing, and the three of us chatted for a while. I asked Mr. Ma how he knew that I had killed the Taoist sect. Mr. Ma said that he also heard about it, and now this matter is spreading in both the yin and yang worlds. "Lu Su, you have to be careful this time. Those who have colluded with the Taoist sect will take this opportunity to attack you." I nodded. Suxian asked for my room number and said she would invite me to see her master later. I nodded, said goodbye to Mr. Ma Suxian, and returned to my room. Pei Yan was following me like a little follower, silent and extremely cold-tempered. When the female demon saw me coming back, she asked curiously, "How's it going?" I smiled bitterly and said, "Things are a little troublesome. Let me think about the plan carefully." The female demon nodded and said nothing. Miao Fengluan asked from the side, "Lu Su, are you hungry? I'll buy you some food. We were at the hotel restaurant just now. We didn't order food, we just sat down and chatted." I shook my head at Miao Fengluan and said, "I'm okay." I looked at the female slave and said, "You can go out for a walk with her." The female master was slightly startled and asked, "How did you know that I wanted to go out for a walk?" I shrugged helplessly and replied, "Since I entered the house, you have been standing in front of the window and looking outside. If you want to go out, go for a walk, but be careful. There are many Taoist priests and Feng Shui practitioners near Mount Tai Division." The female demon waved her hand and said nonchalantly, "Ordinary Feng Shui masters and Taoist priests cannot see my identity. Even if they did, they would not dare to take action against me. This is true, the drought demon is not an ordinary zombie, it is the drought god. Afterwards, Nuba and Miao Fengluan left the hotel and went to hang out. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in my palm. I quickly opened my palms and saw that Xinwen was slightly red and hot. I frowned. It seemed that Su Tianxuan's inheritance had reached a critical stage. Regarding Su Tianxuan's inheritance, no one can interfere. However, I have great confidence in Su Tianxian. She will definitely complete the inheritance. I believe that she will return to me before long. At this time, there was a knock on the door of the room. I stood up and wanted to open the door, but Pei Yan had already taken the lead. Pei Yan opened the door and saw a handsome man standing at the door, followed by several people. The man was a few years older than me. He walked into the room, looked around, and finally set his sights on me. "Are you Lu Su?" His tone was very bad, which made me frown. "Yes." The man looked me up and down, with a look of disdain on his lips, and said, "I don't know how junior sister Tianxian fell in love with you and accepted someone like you as a disciple. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1336. The man's words made me frown slightly. From that sentence just now, I can determine the man's identity. The man is a disciple of Longhu Mountain Celestial Master, Su Tianxuan's senior brother, and also my senior uncle. However, his arrogant attitude makes me very unhappy. The man's eyes were full of disdain, and he said jokingly, "Let me introduce myself. My name is Zhang Xian. I am not only your master's childhood sweetheart, but also his senior brother." Childhood sweetheart? I raised a sneer at the corner of my mouth. Based on my understanding of Su Tianxian, her character will not get close to anyone. Even when facing Yu Sun Tao and Su Xian, she is extremely indifferent, let alone childhood sweethearts of the opposite sex. I snorted coldly and said, "Childhood sweetheart? I'm afraid it's just wishful thinking on your part, right?" Zhang Xian's face changed slightly, and I continued, "Let me introduce you, my name is Lu Su, I am Su Tianxuan's apprentice, and at the same time, I am also her lover." As soon as these words came out, Zhang Xian's face became extremely gloomy, his eyes flashed with anger, and he whispered to me, "Who do you think you are? Can junior sister Tianxian like you?" Before I finished speaking, I saw a figure flashing past my eyes. Then, with a flash of cold light, a dagger was placed on Zhang Xian's neck. The person who did it was Pei Yan. Pei Yan looked at Zhang Xian coldly, with a cold expression without any emotion. "Presumptuous! How dare you be unreasonable to the master of the palace?" The atmosphere suddenly dropped to freezing point, and the expressions of the few people Zhang Xian brought instantly became extremely ugly. They wanted to take action, but because Pei Yan held a knife on Zhang Xian's neck, they could only endure it. "Lu Su, is this how you treat guests? I am your uncle." I looked at him jokingly and said, "You are the one who blames me for speaking so freely? However, you are right. Pei Yan, please let him go." Pei Yan Wu obeyed my orders unconditionally. He let go of Zhang Xian and stood beside me expressionlessly. Zhang Xian snorted coldly, walked past me, and sat directly in front of the table. I also sat down, wanting to see what other tricks this Zhang Xian would come up with. "Since you have become my junior sister Tianxian as your wife, you are my disciple of Longhu Mountain. Before meeting your master, I want to see how far you have reached." This Zhang Xian obviously wants to test my strength. Through the contact I just had with him, I can figure it out with my toes. This guy likes Su Tianxian and wants to use this to make things difficult for me. If this is the case, then, Don't blame me. I quickly said, Uncle, let me be honest with you, I don't even have the basic knowledge of fortune telling. I'm talking nonsense. Ever since Yuan Tiangang and Lu Bowen regained their memories, I have learned fortune telling, divination, and feng shui at my fingertips. You must know that these two are famous feng shui masters in history, and the feng shui skills they master are at the pinnacle of China. Zhang Xian was stunned for a moment and said with a sneer, everyone is spreading the rumor that it was you who destroyed all Taoist sections. When I saw it today, I realized that it was groundless. You can't even tell fortunes. It's really an embarrassment to your master and us, Longhu Mountain. The Longhu Mountain disciples who came with Zhang Xian also laughed at them. That's right. It's an insult to my name, Longhu Mountain. I can't even tell fortunes, it's really embarrassing. Look at our senior brother Zhang Xian, at such a young age, he has mastered the art of fortune telling with great proficiency. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1337. Hearing these words, I pretended to be surprised and said, really? Master Zhang, are you so powerful? This sentence was very useful to Zhang Xian. He seemed to enjoy the feeling of being held up by others. That's natural. I took the opportunity and said, since Master Zhang is so good, can you do the math for me? It will be easier for me to learn. Zhang Xian agreed without thinking, and said with a condescending look, boy, in that case, I will calculate your karma for you, and you will have to watch and study hard later. I was full of flattery and said, okay. Then I'll trouble Master Zhang. I know very well what kind of attention Zhang Xian has in his heart. He must now think that I am good for nothing and a novice who knows nothing. The reason why it is considered a marriage is that he can take the opportunity to speak ill of Su Tianxian and me and sow discord between me and Su Tianxian. The relationship between Su Tianxian. The art of feng shui is mysterious and mysterious. If I were really a novice, I would definitely be deceived by him. What is the truth? I'm not. Zhang Xian stretched out his hand and began to calculate. Gradually, Zhang Xian frowned. I quickly asked, Master Zhang, how's it going? You can't figure it out, can you? Zhang Xian saw that I looked down on him and immediately said, nonsense, tell me your birth date and I will calculate it for you. I told Zhang Xian my birth date. Whether you are a feng shui master, a Taoist priest, or any other strange profession, the most taboo thing is to tell others your horoscope. Because once others master your horoscope, they have the power of life and death over you. They can kill you by using any means at will. However, I am not worried about this. As for the reason, I will know it later. After Zhang Xian got my horoscope, he started calculating again. As time went by, dense beads of sweat appeared on his forehead, and the calculating speed became faster and faster. I saw him taking out a few copper coins and throwing them on the table. The coins were spinning wildly with no intention of stopping. At this moment, a click was heard in the air. Several copper coins cracked instantly. At the same time, Zhang Xian spit out a mouthful of blood and collapsed on the chair. His face was pale, his whole body was shaking, and he looked extremely embarrassed. Seeing this scene, I sneered in my heart. If you want to calculate your fate for me, you really are not afraid of death. I am Zai Wei's destiny. Hidden by luck. If you try to pry into my fate, you will definitely get a backlash. It can range from serious injury to death. This is why I am not afraid of others knowing my horoscope. The person who can trap me through my horoscope has not yet been born. Even Su Tianxian didn't dare to tell me my fortune easily. It's really ridiculous that a little Zhang Xian dared to do such a life-threatening thing. Zhang Xian looked at me with shock on his face and said in disbelief, You. I said coldly in his ear, you want to tell my fortune, but you are not qualified yet. Logically speaking, Someone like Zhang Xian who forcibly peeks into my fate will definitely die. There must be some magic weapon on his body to protect him from the disaster. You do this deliberately. Zhang Xian said in shock. I shrugged and said, I didn't mean it. It was you who insisted on me. Now that you are seriously injured, don't blame me. Boy, how dare you plot against me? Just wait. Zhang Xian said fiercely to me. At this moment, there was a knock on the door of the room. I got up and opened it and saw that it was Su Xian. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1338. Lu Su, why are you still here? Where is Zhang Xian? Didn't he pick you up? I stepped aside and raised my chin towards Zhang Xian in front of the table. Uncle Zhang was there. He insisted on discussing fortune-telling with me, so he was delayed for a while. Su Xian followed my line of sight. When she saw Zhang Xian's pale face, she was slightly startled and asked in a low voice, Did you do something to him? I shrugged and said, I didn't do anything. He insisted on telling my fortune. Hearing these words, Su Xian's pupils trembled slightly. She knew that I had a special destiny, so if she told me my fortune, wouldn't that be seeking death? However, Su Xian did not blame me. Instead, she said in my ear, Lu Su, you have to be careful about Zhang Xian. This guy is a hypocrite, very cunning, and he also likes your master. I nodded and didn't take this matter to heart. In my opinion, Zhang Xian was no match for me at all. Zhang Xian's expression became a little ugly when he saw Su Xian and I whispering to each other. Knowing that he had lost face, he stood up and left without saying a word. Later, Su Xian took me to see the contemporary celestial master of Longhu Mountain, who was Su Tianxuan's master. Su Xian came to a room and knocked on the door. After a while, the door opened. A man in Taoist robes opened the door, and then made an inviting gesture towards me. When I entered the room, I saw a fairy-like old man sitting on a chair. The old man was wearing a Taoist robe, his hair was as white as crane feathers, his complexion was as rosy as a child's, his crane-haired face was like a child's, and he had an air of immortality. The first thing I felt was that he was an enlightened immortal. The old man looked at me with his eagle-like eyes. With just one glance, I felt that he had seen through me. Su Xian came to the old man and said respectfully, Master, this is Lu Su. I took a step forward, raised my hands to the old man and said, I have met the master. The old heavenly master's gaze remained on my face without moving away. At this moment, the old heavenly master suddenly disappeared from the spot. His speed was so fast that he even created a virtual shadow. My expression condensed, and then a strong wind hit my face. The heavenly master came to me at some point and struck me with a palm. This palm seemed weak, but it contains tremendous power. I made a sudden move and grabbed the old master's wrist. The heavenly master was slightly startled and looked at me in shock. Master, what are you doing? The old heavenly master took back his hand, laughed at me and said, as expected of Lu Linlong's grandson and Zioxuan's apprentice, he reacted so quickly. I smiled and said, my master taught me well. Obviously, the heavenly master just wanted to test my strength. I don't have a clear idea of my strength, but since I was able to catch Lao Tianqi's palm just now, it can be seen that my strength is already comparable to Lao Tianqi. Of course, this is also my guess. Neither heavenly master nor I used our full strength. He has something to hide, and I naturally have something to hide too. My biggest reliance is the 12 spiritual veins in my body. The heavenly master motioned me to take a seat, and I sat down. The heavenly master picked up the tea on the table, took a sip, and asked, Lu Su, is your master coming back soon? I nodded and replied, well, I'll be back soon. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1339. The old heavenly master let out a long sigh, and his expression became a little lonely. I haven't seen Xiaoxian for 7 or 8 years. I was slightly startled and asked, didn't my master grow up in Longhu Mountain? I haven't seen Su Tianqian in 7 or 8 years, isn't this a bit wrong? Did Su Tianqian leave Longhu Mountain in 7 or 8 years when he was a teenager? The heavenly master nodded and replied, Xiaoxian did grow up in Longhu Mountain, but you also know that Xiaoxian has a cold personality. Since she became a disciple, she has said no more than 20 words to me. I was slightly startled, and the gentle, playful, and cute side of Su Tianqian in front of me emerged in my mind. Perhaps, I am the only one in this world who can let Su Tianqian show his truest side. To outsiders, Su Tianqian has a cold personality, just like a piece of 1,000-year-old ice that cannot be melted no matter how hot the fire bakes it. The old heavenly master continued, in my impression, Xiaoxian has not talked to anyone for so many years in Longhu Mountain. Even the Taoism and spells were learned by herself by reading books. As a master, I am not, no substantive teaching was given to her. After hearing these words, the picture painted by the heavenly master emerged before my eyes. At that time, Su Tianqian must have been 4 or 5 years old. He was small in stature, but had an astonishing appearance. However, there should be some childishness between his eyebrows. He stayed in the house alone, watching day and night. Books about Taoism. No wonder Su Tianqian always liked reading when he was in Jiyuntang. It turned out to be a habit developed since childhood. The old heavenly master spoke with a kind smile on his face. Although Xiaoxian has a cold personality, she is also extremely filial. On my birthday, she would also prepare gifts for me. Although she is not good at words, her fellow seniors and sisters all like her. The old master told a lot about Su Tianxian's childhood. Su Tianqian was sent to Longhu Mountain by my grandfather. He lived in Longhu Mountain for 7 or 8 years. When he was a teenager, he went down to the mountain and traveled around the world. In just a few years, the 3 words Su Tianqian resounded throughout the Feng Shui world. Then Su Tianqian bought Jiyuntang and lived there alone until my grandfather found her. Hearing this, I was filled with emotions. It turned out that Su Tianxian's life was so lonely. No wonder she said that no one would notice her if she disappeared from this world. This made me more determined to be with her all the time. The old heavenly master looked at me and asked, Xiao Su, why did you come to Mount Tai? I replied calmly, female Zen as emperor and command all ghosts. As soon as these words came out, the old master was slightly startled, and then smiled and said, Xiao Su, it's easy for you to say, but it's very difficult to do it. I nodded and replied, I know. The old heavenly master changed the topic, his expression suddenly became extremely serious and asked, Xiao Su, you killed all the hundreds of disciples in the Taoist sect. Yeah, I killed him. The old heavenly master took a breath of cold air and said to me, Xiao Su, you have made a big mistake. Do you know what the consequences will be if you destroy the Taoist sect? I replied, you know, aren't they being hunted by those Feng Shui sects that cooperate with Taoist sects? Seeing me saying these words so calmly, Master Tian's eyes were filled with admiration. Just when he wanted to continue speaking, Su Xian walked in with a solemn expression. Master, it's not good. The people in Qingcheng Mountain and Sanking Mountain want me to give them an explanation about the Taoist section Sky Coffin. Author, Qing Nian Wanbao. Chapter 1340. Give them an explanation? It seems that these guys know that I am a disciple of Longhu Mountain. Otherwise, it would be impossible to come here to ask for an explanation. When the old master heard this, his expression became very ugly. He stood up slowly, his eyes became a little sharp. Go tell those old guys. Lu Su is my disciple at Longhu Mountain. If you want an explanation, let them come to me in person. These words from Heavenly Master made my heart warm. Thinking about it carefully, I don't have much contact with Longhu Mountain. The only contact is with Su Tianxian. It can even be said that I am not a disciple of Longhu Mountain, because I don't know any of Longhu Mountain's spells. The Heavenly Master looked at me and said to me, Xiao Su, don't worry, since you have accepted Xiaoxian as your teacher, I will definitely protect you. His voice paused, and then he said, even if you don't take Xiaoxian as your teacher, for your grandfather's sake, as long as I am here, no one in this world can hurt you at all. Heavenly Master and my grandfather were close friends, and I was deeply moved by these words. However, I can't let Longhu Mountain come forward to solve this matter for me, because it is a bit inappropriate to say it. You know, the other party is Qingcheng Mountain and Sanking Mountain, two top Taoist sects, which are as famous as Longhu Mountain. I said, Master, they are coming for me, I can just handle this matter myself. The old Heavenly Master was startled and said, Xiao Su, the other party is Qingcheng Mountain and Sanking Mountain. As far as I know, those old guys are also here. If they take action against you, I'm afraid. Qingcheng, the leader of the two factions of the Sanking dynasty, should be as strong as the old Tianqi. After all, they are both old monsters who have lived for 70 or 80 years. To be able to sit in the position of leader, his strength must not be weak. The Heavenly Master continued, besides, your grandfather also has some grudges with them. I'm afraid that they will take action against you, a junior, regardless of their benevolence, justice, and morality. I pondered for a moment and said, Master, you should know why they came to me for an explanation, because I destroyed the Taoist sect and cut off their cooperation with the Taoist section. If I can cooperate with the Taoist sect, how can I talk about benevolence, justice, and morality? In the eyes of the world, Taoism appears to be the spokesperson of Taoism, with a tall and majestic image, but in fact it is a hypocrite. Some people may know the true face of Taoism, and some may not. But whether they know it or not, if I destroy the Taoist sect, they will come to trouble me. What I have to face is not Qingcheng Mountain and Sanking Mountain, but the talented people and strangers in the entire Feng Shui world. To put it simply, I am the enemy of the entire Yin and Yang worlds. I alone am enough, there is no need to bring Longhu Mountain down. I continued, Master, also, I am the grandson of Lu Linlong and a member of the Lu family. Although my grandfather is gone, I want to tell them that my Lu family is not without people. Seeing that I spoke so resolutely, the Heavenly Master let out a long sigh and said, Xiao Su, you are as responsible as your grandfather. Since you have said so, it seems that I am ignorant if I talk too much. I smiled and said, Master, you can say these words, Xiao Su is already very happy. I can do the next thing myself. As I said that, I looked at Suxian and asked, Sister, where are those people? Suxian was slightly startled and replied, outside. I stood up, I was going to meet those guys today.